Okay, it looks like Aranzu's about to get her wish, but it could be too good to be due. So, Neva creeps up on them at a pace quicker than anticipated. Something about the tone, maybe the chill music, makes him feel a lot less sinister than when he revived the Dragon Balls. The lack of glowing demonic eyes probably helps too. He treats us to a little ditty about the Dragon Balls, and you never know how much these wacky characters will have to offer. Vegeta's senile comment also got a laugh, just not at all PC. Piccolo calls out Neva for playing dumb, which helps so they don't underestimate him later. They get to know each other, and Piccolo mentions that his father is Katats. This threw me since Katats is the father of the nameless Namekian who split into Kami and King Piccolo. In my mind, that makes Katats more like Piccolo's grandfather, but I guess Piccolo just considers himself the same being as King Piccolo after all. Neva sees Piccolo as a warrior type, so it appears he sees more of the nail aspect of him, rather than King Piccolo, who was originally from the Dragon Clan, who were more closer to magic users. Neva also calls Piccolo's name unusual, which is fair since Piccolo was the name the nameless Namekian gave himself due to having amnesia. Piccolo was just the passcode to open doors. It's like if you lost your memory and then named yourself Open Sesame. Piccolo does call Neva out for chipifying them, and despite trying to dupe them earlier, he actually comes clean right away. It seems like turning them all into kids and abducting Dende were both things Neva was counting on. The way Goma's playing into Neva's hands, Aranzu conspiring against him, Degasu might as well betray him just to bring it home. Neva's only oversight was the gang actually collecting the Dragon Balls, and you can see Goku's confident they'll get the rest of them too. This Namekian helped attempt to ruin their lives, and everyone's pretty lax about it. I really aspire for that level of peace. Pansy pieces together, somehow, that Neva made the Tamagami. It got me curious what they actually are. Are they artificial beings like the androids, or is Neva out here playing Kami and creating life? Funny how Piccolo got a nod of disapproval for breaking the rules by fighting. He's innocent if he didn't know this beforehand, but he would be guilty from this point. I did not expect Neva to request to come aboard, but seeing as he's the only one that can activate the balls, he makes a compelling argument. How motivated he is to join, plus the deception he's shown already, it's obvious he has ulterior motives, but unclear to whose benefit. Good thing Piccolo's starting to get in touch with his culture because, I mean, even Dende's bilingual. King Piccolo and Kami both knew the language, but Piccolo forgot. Small chance though, maybe Piccolo's playing dumb as an excuse to give Neva a reason to come along. Just like with Glorio, Goku gives his blessing to join, and I think he's just really good at looking at the big picture. This series can be hilarious. I cracked up at Aranzu back at Marba's, looking like a disappointed customer making a return. Ku continues to be a treat as well. He's maybe the most rational demon we've encountered thus far. Aranzu thinks they didn't use enough boo seasoning, so more casually than the first time, they decide to bake up another with the remaining boo fragments. Wonder what kind of chaos we would have gotten if they had used all the boo essence in one go, rather than dividing it between multiple Majins. But good for Ku, who's about to not be an only child. For optimal results, they decide to plant the seed deeper than recommended. Despite Marba's objections, Aranzu is adamant to proceed, which to me shows a hint of desperation. Marba made this same warning about the overconfident Ku, who turned out relatively tame. Since I highly doubt they do the same thing twice, I really feel like this Majin's gonna rampage. Even if I was wrong the first time. Also appreciating the intersection of Neva setting up the obstacles that Aranzu wants to overcome. Aranzu's acting like she needs an answer to the Tamagami, which is curious considering Neva just said they can't be used for conflict. Either she doesn't know that, or Neva's working towards a workaround. Gosh, none of Hebus's lines go to waste, I'll say that. While crowded, it seems like the gang's all here, with a +1. Still kinda surprised with how casual everyone's being with the guy that helped one of their friends get kidnapped. It is pitiful that he's lived alone for so long, seemingly holding out hope that the Namekians will return. Not sure if that's senile thinking or not, since so far Neva's nearly batted 100. Whatever the case, I'm sure that's partly part of why he's tagging along. He lets us know he created the Tamagami to protect the balls from bad people. Fair enough, but that means he doesn't consider himself a bad person. It's just jarring since he's been an antagonist the whole series, which, okay, hasn't been that long, but now he's suddenly a sympathetic character. And I wonder if we'll ever get to know what the wishes were that went wrong. It was kind of adorable watching little Goku and Vegeta bicker like real kids. No, it's my turn to fight! Which Neva's surprised they actually want to do. Jin lets Neva know that they enjoy brawling, and that's also helpful for a viewer that Daima episode 11 is their introduction to this franchise. Aranzu spits on that thing, and unlike Ku's menacing green smoke, this is more like a flash of purple energy. It looks like Ku has wanted a sibling for all his one day of life. He specifies brother and not to be woke, but can these Majins not be created as ladies? Even for this second birth, it still feels like a spectacle, more of what I'm calling CGI until I'm corrected. Factoring the purple color palette, I assume that'd be part of the design, but the scheme is similar to Ku's. Majin Do looks more like a Do fuss. Closer to Fat Boo and with a similar affinity for chocolate. By contrast, Ku favors the Cybermen even more. Aranzu's new fighter being here relegates Ku to an errand boy just as he suggested. Do gives a pretty sincere thank you for the treat, so he could be a nice guy, just a bit demanding. Ku and Do have such a fun dynamic already, squabbling like siblings. It's engaging enough that I forgot Do was actually here for a purpose. He didn't forget that though, and Aranzu's eager to test his strength. If Do is the end goal Majin, it makes you wonder what the point of Ku was. Simply to buy time until this as the main event? So Majin Do could have a comic relief partner because he himself seems pretty silly. What could be being set up between these two besides a headache for Aranzu? To me, it's more likely Do goes on a rampage. We already got a glimpse of him being defiant, so maybe we could get a Do-Ku showdown. Once again, number 1 doesn't beat around the bush. Although if they are simply tools created by Neva, that could explain why they're not the most exuberant characters. All the spoiler thumbnails have Vegeta fighting number 2, although I didn't expect 2 Tamagami fights in one go. Made me think Do would make quick work of this one to fit them both in, especially to contrast the doubts that Aranzu's putting out. Quick is definitely the right word too. For this being its first fight, it knows enough to even toy with the Tamagami. Its elasticity is similar to Pink Boo's as well. Bouncy is a dangerous texture in the Dragon Ball world. The way Do plays with him, you get the sense maybe he likes fighting already a bit too much. It could be a problem if he rebels and really enjoys doing it. Designated driver Glorio brings him to the scene where we finally make contact with number 2. Pansy explains to Bulma if you approach and challenge the Tamagami, it'll move. Adds to the game vibe, like if you walk up to it and press B, it'll activate. Pansy continues cautioning against underestimating them, noting her skepticism on Vegeta's strength compared to Goku's. You'd think such a comment would send him into a frenzy, but the prince keeps his composure. Maybe he just can't deny it. Or he just thinks he's gonna have it in the bag. This time, the spiky-haired kid without a pole is up. Off the bat, I like number 2's vibe from across the bar. The trident's sick, and he's the first one to do some roasting. I guess that bold entrance was reserved for the third. With his boss in the background, I expected number 2 to put in some good work. Clearly those reflexes are refined, knocking that ki blast away with ease. Slender and swift, this one, each strike is so smooth as they duke it out. Pansy wasn't wrong to warn, but Vegeta held his own for a minute, even in base form. And it's nice to see someone besides Goku get some praise. By comparison, seems like Do's doing better in his very first fight because number 2 actually got a good hit in, giving us now one of the rare instances of blood. Meanwhile, Do's still punishing number 1, battering its body and mind. Think about how Do's second and third fights will progress, even more chaos. Vegeta's got a real tough challenge for someone who's got to get used to his new body, and it shows. Plus, now with the Kraken, it's become much more than a warm-up. Though we do welcome the return of Water Vegeta. Effectively, it's 2 against 1, and Vegeta's odds of success are getting all swallowed up. What a development this is. Watching these two together is like Kid Boo palling around with Fat Boo. They've already got such a strong dynamic going, so in sync, maybe we do get a future fusion. Either that, or Do becomes the final boss. I think it'd be the first one that we'd see learn to fight in real time. While the Tamagami fights may not be as cinematic as Goku's, giving us 2-in-1 episodes should appease the action addicts. For the current predicament, I mean, my goodness Vegeta, go Super Saiyan! I imagine that's how he escapes, a grand golden display to make a comeback. Then, Neva's addition definitely took me by surprise, and I'm excited to see how it unfolds because he's a lot more layered than I initially expected. Solid pacing, new story developments, and a decent cliffhanger, I give it an 8 out of 10.